I'm Philip Siegel of Havana Phil Cigar Company.
And I'm Shana Leigh, the social media manager here and owner of Shana Leigh Photography.
Welcome to Behind the Smoke Screens, where we give you a raw and unfiltered look at what it's like to run a business as two young entrepreneurs.
In our line of work, we have the pleasure of creating relationships with a variety of characters. Influencers, athletes, models, digital media gurus, CEOs, and industry experts. And we'll be inviting them on to share with you.
Sit back, grab a sip and a smoke as we take you behind the smoke screens. Welcome to Behind the Smoke Screens. We have very special guests, Tristan Tolani, Ryan Wall, and my lovely co-host, Shana.
Oh, thanks, Phil.
This episode is presented by Cooper's Craft Bourbon. Amazing bourbon made by Brown Foreman. Shana has a nice, lovely Manhattan made by Ashley Smokin, our bartender. And she's like some sort of influencer. So give her a follow on Instagram. And
that's a great drink, actually.
Yeah.
But I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Phil.
Yeah, she's great.
It's pretty good.
It was good.
Pretty good.
It was good.
So, what's up, boys?
What's up, Phil?
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for
Absolutely.
coming.
Great
Definitely.
opportunity.
So we've been hanging out already for a little while, so people don't
Right,
actually
right,
see
right,
a lot of that.
About an hour.
Yeah. So, what's the name of y'all's company?
We are Providence Realty. Providence Realty, we're on a High Point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, been there since 05.
Awesome. And you guys sell houses?
We sell houses. We do commercial. We do investments. Do a little bit of everything.
Wow. And what area is it?
Triad.
All the triad.
All the Triad?
Yeah, all the way up to the.
But not Charlotte, Raleigh area?
We go. I mean, yeah, That's a little bit more like of a story, but we work in the areas that we are experts in. The
Mhm.
parts of Charlotte, parts of Raleigh, we do work in. And
Awesome.
if we're not an expert in the area, we refer to an expert that we know in the area.
That's
Make sure our
smart.
clients have the best experience possible,
That's right.
That
no
makes
matter
sense.
where they're working.
Yeah. It's all about customer service,
Is
right?
it just
Absolutely.
you two, or
No, we have a team.
okay? How big's the team?
Right now we have 8 agents.
Okay.
Would you say that's a good size? Pretty normal size or smaller?
Well, for a boutique firm, it's average to above average for a boutique firm.
Mhm.
We're a non-franchise firm, and so yeah, above average.
Above average. I
Yeah.
love it. That's what we do.
That's right. So we're
So I guess like one of the biggest questions we've gotten is first-time home buyers.
We love
Like-
those.
You know, a lot of people are renting nowadays, but you guys make it really easy for first-time home buyers to walk in and say, "Hey, I want to buy a house," right?
Yeah, we do.
So, are there special like programs for them, or
There are special programs for them, and it's wild talking about first time home buyers because I just heard somebody saying before that they were afraid for the commitment to buy a home, that they didn't know if they were ready for that commitment to be tied down to it. But there's a lot of pros in buying a home and becoming a first time home buyer, that the amount of equity that you're getting historically right now in such a short period of time,
right?
being able to sell that if it is something that you decide you need to move or your job takes you somewhere else or life takes you anywhere else. Right now it's more than it's ever been that you're able to collect equity fast and not get caught into a mortgage that you can't sell or caught into a home that you can't sell.
Right.
But yeah, there are lots of programs through North Carolina, through local cities. There's programs that are specific to areas. Like, let's say you're not a big fan of living in the city, you're more of a county. I grew up in the county, and I went to Ledford and grew up in the county. And those areas out there, there's no down payment programs. You don't necessarily get a grant, but you buy in this area and it's they call it a USDA area.
Yeah,
you get 100% financing, so you can just move in, no money out of pocket.
that's sweet.
Yeah.
What about the people? We kind of hear a lot about how the real estate market's going to crash because everyone's saying that the stock market's going to crash, real estate market, Bitcoin, all that shit. And they're worried about it. What would you say to them when they walk in and they're like, I'm kind of scared about the future. Like, I might get fucked on a house if I buy it right now because the market's so hot.
I'll tell you, and as far as that goes, we won't go into all of it here. But there's a website called Keeping Current Matters. Steve Hardy, he's an amazing. He forecasts what's happening in the real estate market, and that's something to look at. It's a non-biased section. I love watching this stuff. But if you go back over time and look at all of the recessions that we've had and what's happened with each recession, you can actually break down over the years. This caused this recession. This caused this recession.
Right.
This caused this recession. In each recession, you can go in and measure what percentage loss was in the real estate portion of that. And so if you come in and if he's looked at it, I don't see the real estate market dropping much anytime in the very near future. And then even if you look at the worst, or 2008, 2009, I mean, a lot of people were in over their head and lost a lot in the real estate world. But it wasn't the first time home buyers that were hurt there. And that it was the moving buyers. It was people that had the second and third homes that were so easy to get. No, they had loans that you didn't even have to prove that you had a job.
Did you ever see The Big Short?
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, I did.
Great film.
Yeah, it was wild. But there's so much. The regulation and the things that are in place now that have been in place since that's happened to keep that from happening again have worked. So right now there's not there's just a ton of equity out in the market right now, more equity than we've ever seen in the entire country as far as for homeowners statistically right now.
Beautiful. I love it. How long have you been selling homes?
I am a little bit of a real estate nerd. I started working at a real estate office in high school as like an assistant learning marketing and everything. As soon as I got out, I jumped into real estate. So I've been in like for 16 years now.
Oh, wow.
Selling. Yeah.
How'd you get into it?
Family was into it.
Family biz. Shout out.
Family biz. That's right. So my boy Tristan here. How long you been in now?
Since August 12th, 2019, best day of my life. The best change I've ever made. I came from corporate background at Honda Aircraft Company in Greensboro, North Carolina. Wasn't really working out for me, and I met with Ryan Wall in his office, and I was like, "Hey man, what do you know about real estate? What do you think about me getting a job?" He's like, "Oh, how are you?"
What made you get into it?
Man, I just I watched my parents growing up. They never worked for anybody. They always worked for themselves, and I did the corporate thing, and I was just like, this is not like clocking in, work for somebody. I feel like my job doesn't matter. Like it's not for me. I feel like in real estate, you get an opportunity to help people. You can achieve your financial dreams as well as helping other people achieve their homeownership dreams and financial dreams from an investor perspective. And I just think that the opportunity that was presented was too good not to take. And, I jumped in. I had no idea what I was doing. I was very afraid to leave a paycheck every week. But, I've turned it into something that works for me, and I would say that it's the best decision I've ever made in my 24 years of being on this earth.
Wow.
So he's been
youngster.
Yeah.
He's been there a year and a half, and you would think 20 years. Like he's killing it. He knows he picks stuff up fast. He helps clients. It's fun watching him work.
I love, we've worked together. I've worked with some other friends of mine.
It's high profile.
Of course.
High profile.
Yeah, right.
But, I recently made a connection through Phil, someone who was previously on the podcast. And, I've been talking to Ryan.
Shout out West Knight.
West Knight, of course, the man himself.
Yes.
I told Ryan the day I got there, I wasn't looking to sell houses. I was looking to get into the investment side of real estate. And, we've been working towards it. Not everybody knows this, but Ryan and I have successfully completed a flip house. It's been under contract twice. The second time is rolling, it's rocking.
Awesome.
Oh, that must be so much fun. I love like before and after kind of stuff like that.
It's cool taking, I grew up in Archdale. I have love for that place. Not, it's not for everybody, but it's cool. It's cool.
Did you grow up in LA?
Not Lower Archdale, my
Lower
man.
Archdale?
Come on. I was born in Greensboro. East Coast LA. No, it's cool taking, an unloved property and restoring it to somewhat of its former glory.
Yeah.
And seeing, I took a lady through the house and just seeing her face. I mean, I was just like, this is it. Like, this is the reason we do these things.
Yeah, and cut in. But, on that specific one, being able to save a lady that was about to lose it. She was at the edge where she couldn't make her payments. Her things had happened in the house, she, you know, and she at this point she didn't have the money to fix the issues
Right.
that were adding up, and we were able to get her out of it. She didn't get foreclosed on, had a little money in her pocket, and was able to help her get moved on as well. So it was a win-win for everybody, which is kind of our goal.
It was
always our
you
goal.
know, it was a former coworker at Honda Aircraft, and she reached out to me, and you know, we did what we could for her to make sure she had the best experience possible once again, and you know, it worked out for the both of us. You know,
Sweet.
The firm and her. And I think it was a good segue into, like you were talking about, you asked me earlier, you know, I think it was a good segue into where I want to be in real estate.
Right.
You know, it got my feet wet. It got me hungry for the next steps. I wake up every day now. You know, I used to be kind of hesitant to go to the office, kind of hesitant to get on the phone, kind of hesitant to do all these things that Ryan was trying to help me do. And he knows. But now it's just, you know, I've got that going. I'm trying to get serious with the residential side of things. And, you know, we hit our phone calls as much as possible. And that was, you know, one of the biggest fears I've ever dealt with was, you know, cold calling another human being, asking them if they want to sell their house.
Yeah.
You know, it's intimidating.
We touched on that topic with Max Maxwell
Yeah.
and how he has to, you know, cold call a bunch of people.
It's
And, you know, he brings the new guys in and they're calling 250 people a day. It sounds like a grueling task.
it's not for the faint of heart.
So you being a new, young real estate agent, let's get into the uncomfortable shit. Let's talk about
I love that.
what makes it difficult to make it, you know, like how have you been struggling and overcoming the challenges of being a young dude trying to make his name?
So obviously, you know, real estate, there's people that have been in business for 30 years. There's people that have been in for 16 years. You come in, you're young, you might know people, but, you know, your parents have an agent, right? You know, you think you're going to use them. There's always somebody that's been in the game longer that knows more than you. And the biggest thing for me was confidence. Like, do I know what I'm doing or do I not know what I'm doing? And recently, only recently, have I kind of gained the self-awareness that, hey, I know what I'm doing. I just have to apply it. Like, you know, I have to give myself the benefit of the doubt here and apply all these things I've learned. I work with this guy so closely. I try to pick up everything he drops, you know, every piece of knowledge that he shares. I try to hold that close to the chest and run with it.
Yeah.
And I think it's scary. Cold calling is definitely, you know, a lot of walking through a lot of fears. You know, you're calling someone you've never met. You have no idea how they're going to handle the conversation. Most of the time it's short and sweet. Sometimes they're very, very upset that you're bothering them for some reason, as if having a phone is a burden, you know, like, where'd you get my phone number or something like that, or why you call me? We've heard some colorful things come from these people.
That's because we're getting like 5 calls a day about our car warranty. And
I get them all day.
oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
And
I do too. I do.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're really good though,
They are,
and they'll trick me into talking to them for a little bit.
and then you'll snap to your senses.
And I'm like, what are you selling?
Now they've gotten to where it's just silent until the second hello, and then somebody picks up because they've got it all automated. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm getting like 8 calls a day from these numbers I don't recognize. It's crazy.
Yeah, but he's calling with good news.
Venting.
Good
Yeah, it's
news.
going with good news.
That's
Yeah.
all I want to hear.
We got buyers looking.
So-
They will buy your house.
Shout out Mac Miller.
That's
It's his
right.
birthday.
And shout out Dolly Parton because it's her birthday.
Yeah.
Icon.
Jolene.
But
Jolene.
I guess,
Love her.
Jolene.
I guess, you know,
No, there's not. I bet there's not.
back to the struggles, there's a lot of internal, man. You know, you get beaten down sometimes and you're like, damn, am I going back to that tomorrow?
Yeah.
But, you know, all it takes is one call to change the day, turn the day around. One client that, you know, you change their direction, you know, like the lady whose house we bought. We changed her direction. All it takes is one situation like that to help you realize, you know, this is what I'm doing. This is why I'm here. And I mean, the biggest things for me were confidence and fear. And I think that's with a lot of stuff in life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't know you can do it until you have to do it. You know, you're afraid until you execute and make it happen.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I've learned a lot working with Ryan and, you know, Rachel. She's another person we work with very closely. You know, I guess on a personal side of things, it's like, you know, I was going through a lot at Honda. I wasn't sure what I was doing in my life or why I was there. My dad pushed me to get a corporate job, and you know, I came here and I figured out this is what I want to do for myself, and I was able to put everything into it. Not at first, you know, I kind of was like taking it as a break from, you know, I'm not working anymore. Let me just enjoy this time off. But I've turned it around, and today was actually one of the busiest days I've ever had. I had
Congrats.
2 new listings go live. We're trying to get a 3rd one in. We're just, I'm working with investors, which is, day one, that was my goal. My goals are one step at a time. We're getting closer. Every week I'm getting closer.
Right. Have you had any difficult clients?
I'm not going to say anything on the podcast.
You don't have to say names.
That's the good
What
stuff.
do you mean you're not going to say
No,
names?
generally
Come on.
speaking, though, what makes it difficult to be in your position? What is something that you've had to deal with that's been difficult in
Expectations.
Expectations and
Emotions.
mindset. Emotions and mindset. Like, honestly, any answer any question that we could talk about the rest of the podcast, you can insert the word mindset into it, and it would work for that conversation.
Right.
Just like him on the calls, it's mindset. One of the first times we got on the call with him, we were sitting in my house, and I was like, "I'm gonna show you what to do. Get on the phone." And like the guy that picked up the phone cussed me up and down. I don't know why. He was they heard it was F you this, blah, blah. And I was like, it threw me off because it was like, holy crap, this never happens to me. And of course, it happens when I'm teaching Tristan. But see, I thrive off of that. I love awkwardness.
It's awesome.
It
turns it around.
I love drinking stories. Like, this is
Yeah.
going to be the best story to tell later over
Right.
beer. But the same thing with clients. It's like, if something goes wrong, you got to control your emotions. It's not even wrong if it doesn't go the way you want. I mean, we get into a transaction. You go in saying, this is what I want. This is why I'm coming this direction. But you don't call it a negotiation because you get everything you want the way it is. Sometimes you're fortunate, you're blessed, and you get exactly what you want. Sometimes you have to negotiate. And so it's a matter of dealing with emotions, dealing with and how people control them. And that part of that is with the agent too. Agents being able to control their own emotions and talk to a client and tell them, here's your options. This is what's best going to protect you. This is how you can move forward and control that through the deal.
Awesome.
I just want to side note, my first day in real estate, Ryan had me go and knocking on withdrawals and expired. So you get a stack of papers with homes that they were either on the market and taken off, or they were on the market too long, nobody bought them. My first day, I go out to High Point, to a nicer neighborhood, gated area, and I walk up to the door, and I park my truck in his driveway, and the guy's like, "Why the fuck are you here? Like, you have to leave now. Like, I don't want to hear. I don't want to talk to you." And I just think that was. I told Wes that.
Welcome to the industry.
Right. I told Wes that, and he was like, "What a great way to experience, what's coming. What a great icebreaker. What a test.
Mhm.
If you can come back the next day on your first day after getting yelled at,
Drinking stories.
right."
I love it.
Well, I've never owned a home, and I'm in my 30s, and
I would have guessed 20s.
Me too.
Well,
So,
moisturizer.
Cocoa
No.
butter.
Oh God. Now I've lost my train of thought.
Sure.
No, so when I started my business several years ago, I actually, prior to that, I had a great job with. I was working in the government. I was a contractor in the government, and I worked.
Did you go to UNC?
I did. Look, we're not gonna look. This is you now doing this every time.
I'm
It
sorry.
is. I swear, every time it comes up.
All
But
right,
it's
so
him.
you had a good job.
So I had a great job. I worked for Homeland Security, and I worked
That's
for FEMA,
rad.
and I was like, everything was going great. And I was back here in North Carolina, and I was looking for a house, and I was really close to finding something that I really wanted. And at that time, I decided to launch my business and realized that I actually wouldn't be able to buy anything for the first couple of years of owning my own business, which was fine. I probably would have ended up with a mortgage that was more than I could afford at that time. But I'm in a place now where, as far as having my business for several years now, and just in a more stable place where I'm ready to find something. So I will be a first-time home buyer here hopefully in the next year or so.
Awesome.
One concern that we've talked about already is just the financial obligation, or just not knowing, like, what if I want to move 2 years later for whatever reason that may be? How do I feel comfortable diving into something and having that responsibility, and then I want to change my mind later? But another thing that I'm, am a little bit, I guess, weary of or anxious about is my taste in a home, like, it varies. I love like old homes that I could fix up, and like with a lot of land and sort of sitting out like in the middle of nowhere kind of thing. And then I also love being a part of a community and having something that's fresh and new that I'm not going to have to fix up all the time and not have to pour money back into constantly, which a lot of the older homes are going to be more, I guess less cost efficient, because there's going to be things that I'm going to have to fix and that kind of thing.
There's always going to be
Regardless.
shit going on.
Right.
Right, exactly.
So how do you, when you're working with a client, because people have a vision and they know it when they see it, you've got to be able to determine or help them to see what it is that they want.
Right.
So when you meet a client for the first time, how do you sit with them and say, let's go through, do you have like a checklist or something that you walk through with them to say, this is what you need, this is what you want, and then you have a better idea of how to narrow that down for them, to show them things like homes that they may be interested in. And also, in addition to that question.
It's like 5 questions.
So, I have a lot. Look, I'm going to be a first-time home buyer.
Trying to keep up with that.
So how do you help a client narrow it down? And then how do you deal with clients that can't narrow it down and that are constantly coming back to look at another house and another house and another house, and if they're like the never-ending pit client that's like can't make a decision?
That's it. What's funny is that question you're asking me, or questions that you're asking me. If you
How
go
many
back,
questions was that?
I was at 8 or 9. I was
keep going.
I'm just gonna give a balloon answer.
Yeah.
No, so if you asked me this question 10 years ago, it'd be a completely different answer. You know what I'm saying? Because the market has changed so much. So if you came and sat down with us, the very first thing I want to ask you is about your financing.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I bring that up is, have you spoken to a bank? Do you know what that budget is? Do you know what that, if you say, I don't want to go over this amount right here, this is where I want to be at. Do you know what that monthly payment looks like? Mm-hmm. Do you know if you're going with county or the city, what the taxes look like? There's so many different variables that all you could put all together by just knowing what your financing is. Mm-hmm. That's going to, if you're saying I may want 4 acres, I may want this. Once you find out that this price range is where I'm going to be at here, I don't want to go above this because I want to stay comfortable in my payment. I don't want to be house broke. Mm-hmm. I don't want, if something happens on my house, it throws my entire financial health in just disarray.
Right.
So we get that knocked out first. Get you approved. Find out what kind of loan is best for you. You putting down payment, or you going USDA, or using state funds. All that is going to affect what type of house.
Would she qualify for a first-time home buyer loan?
She would, yeah. I mean, she's a first-time home buyer. Honestly, if she told me I owned a house, but I sold it 4 years ago, she's still a first-time home buyer in North Carolina's house because she hadn't owned a house in 3 years. So you'd still be considered a first-time home buyer. There's a lot of programs where.
And what is a first-time home buyer loan?
Someone hasn't owned a house in 3 years or more.
Mm-hmm. So. And what do they typically get?
Yeah.
Because I know I used it in 2017,
mm-hmm.
and
is it 8,000?
The government gave me $15,000.
15,000.
And I wouldn't have to pay it back. They give me $15,000 for a down payment, and I wouldn't have to pay it back if I lived there for 5 or more years.
Yeah.
And then Tristan knocked on my door like a cold caller, and he's like, "Dude, your house is worth like so much more than you bought it for." And I was like, "Okay, fuck that $15,000."
Right. Well, if you think about it, okay, if you bought your house for $100,000, okay, and you got that $15,000,
yeah,
and you owe, $85,000, you bought it down to $85,000, right? Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, in 2 years, if your house is worth $110,000, you still only made $10,000. Whether you look at the $15,000 the state gave you or not, it was still $100,000 that you purchased the house for. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So whether you use your down payment or somebody else's down payment, so you're on the good side of that by selling your house then.
Yeah.
But
you just got to stay alive.
You just got to stay alive. I mean, but if you don't, they still can't collect. So
I gotta do
either way, that's a different podcast. But no, I'm
covering all the bases here.
But yeah, there's still programs out here. There's still $8,000, from the state. You still have each individual city. A lot of them are offering their own programs. Some that you can stack with the state. So you say, here's a state program. Here's this local program. All of a sudden, I got this amount here. Maybe we're going into with first-time home buyers. A lot of big issues are closing costs. Your closing costs when you buy a house. I mean, you sit there and think, dang, I owe, if I'm putting down 5%, on a $200,000 loan. I owe $10,000. Okay, I got my $10,000. I can make this work. Well, all of a sudden you owe another 5 to 6, or 4.5 to 6 in just closing costs. That's going to be your attorney's fees, your inspection fees, your appraisal fees. Putting back taxes and insurance for the year that's going to be inside your escrow account. There's a lot of fees that you don't realize that add up, and that's going to be another 4 to 5. So if
Realtor fees.
Yeah, not if you're a buyer. First-time home buyer does not pay the realtor fees as long as they purchase the properties in the MLS.
Oh.
That's paid by the seller. Yeah. So, where I was,
My head is spinning.
there's a whole lot. we could, but I guess where I'm going with this,
All this for me.
as you come in,
What would you say to her about the checklist, about what she wants for a house?
So
Yeah.
we get past. I'm sorry. I'm trying to hit each of these questions one by one. So we hit
I
the
get
financial side. Then we
Lots
come
to
in,
unpack.
and when I say now is easier than it was before. If you come in and you say, I want, this many acres, I want this, I want this, I want this. I'm going to come in through and break down everything there is to look for in a house.
Mhm.
Whether you want that extra half bath, whether you want that, extra 2 acres. Do you want a 2-car garage? Do you want a 1-car garage? Just storage
Maybe,
building. Do you want a
yeah.
foundation? Do you want a slab? I'm going to go through each of these items and find out what you want.
Mhm.
We're going to break it down. We're going to figure out what is your wants and what is your needs.
Mhm.
If I found a house that's 2 acres instead of 4 acres, are we good with that? Is that a want or is that a need? And break that down. And really, with the amount of property on the market right now, there is not a ton on the market. So we're going to try to figure out if we can find what you want that's in the MLS. And if not, we start calling folks and see if we can find it. But I mean, a lot of it is knowing what your wants and what your needs are, because you can trump wants and needs with price. Price goes up, all of a sudden you have another option of wants and wants and wants. But if you know what your price is, you know where you need to be at. We'll break down what that is.
Or maybe I just realized I need to build my own house.
That is an option too.
Always an
Again,
option.
that's where price.
Yeah.
We can build all your wants.
Yeah.
I think another thing that's important when working with someone is building a relationship with them. Try to understand, more than just a transaction. The human you're talking to. It definitely helps. Having rapport with someone is always good in business, but especially real estate, it's one of the most important purchases of their life. You need to understand them on a deeper level than just numbers and stuff like that. But obviously, brass tacks, it comes down to our criteria, your criteria, and the financials.
It's like selling a cigar.
Right. I don't know anything about that, but I've tried to pick up some of that stuff from you.
It's all about the connection.
Right.
Oh,
You got to know what they're about to do. You
Have
got
to
to
know
know
their
what
tastes,
they
their
want, what they're about
flavors,
to
and-
drink,
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
I think sales in general are related, and I took some classes at HPU, and the biggest thing they taught me was relationship. That was the biggest thing we learned, was knowing your customer, and that doesn't just mean their wants and needs are obviously important, but the person is 100% what you're trying to understand.
Yeah. And that's what everyone needs to do in life.
Right.
You just have to understand the person.
That's right.
I learned that at Starbucks. It was like, I worked there when I was living in Charlotte, and it was like, you have to connect with these people, or else your life is just going to be miserable.
It's
Because
shallow.
you see them every single day, and if you have no connection to them, then you're just going to be sad.
Right.
They're going to be sad, and it's just going to be a dull moment. But if you connect with them and you have this, conversation that you have every fucking day, it's a beautiful thing.
It's
Yeah.
the surface level. It doesn't do much for people.
Deep thoughts with
That's
deep,
right.
deep thoughts with Philip Michael.
The philosopher.
Philosopher. He's wise.
He is.
He's a wise man in his own way.
So, real estate, huh?
Now that I've made it awkward.
So, where do you want to live?
Yeah.
Well, right now I live out west near the airport, and I'd like to stay out in that area. I think it's it's a nice area, and the school systems out there are really good. And
There's a house for sale, like right down my street. It's an old church. It's pretty scary.
that is not out west, Bill.
We can show it to you.
Yeah, but
We'll get you
it's north side, right?
It would not. It would be considered
probably
Yeah.
a different school system. than
Yeah.
ours.
East side.
He's
I mean, I'm
right.
not opposed to it. Like,
East
I grew up on
Greensboro.
the east side, so I grew up. I went to Southeast High School, and
Perfect.
like I have family in Whitsett, and so
Great
like
place.
I'm from that side of town, and so I'm not really open. I mean, I love Greensboro altogether, but I do like it out the west area. But I don't know. I have a lot of anxiety about buying a house just because I don't stay in one place for very long. Like
So
I just moved back here a few years ago, and I've been like probably gone for like 12 years or something.
So with someone so unsure about buying and has so much anxiety, how would you calm them down and make it more of an experience that they enjoy rather than something that they're worrying about?
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
that's a good question.
It is. I mean, I think first thing is looking back and seeing. I mean, have you been written? You said for the past 12 years. So you said, well, you just moved back here.
Yeah, I moved away for about I'd say about 12 years or so, and then
So looking at the financial commitment that you've made to renting, what does that look like every single month? What does that look like every single year? What have you paid out to somebody else's
I
mortgage
know
over that time?
that's where there's a lot of anxiety there too,
Yeah,
because
and
I'm giving
it's-
somebody else all that benefit, all that money.
And chances are,
Never going to see that again. So.
the house that you're renting, whatever you're paying in rent, if you went to buy that house, your mortgage would be much less than what you're paying in rent.
Probably like $500 less.
And so you'd say, well, if during this whole time you had an additional $500 every single month,
I know.
and then when you went to sell it, you got that money back into your pocket, would you be as nervous? No, because you know that you're going to sell it. You know that you're going to get that money back. You know that what you've spent out is actually coming back into your pocket. Now you're creating wealth. You're creating, retirement. You're creating this. And let's say you do decide to move. Let's say you like the house. Like, I like this house. I'm going to go over here for a minute and try this. I don't know if I may want to come back. I don't know if I want to walk away from this. We'll rent it out. Let somebody else do what you're doing right now and pay your mortgage for you while you're over here living this dream, which may be something you decide to proceed with later, and you could sell it then, or when you come back, you have your house, but it's paid further down by the renter that was there.
Wow, that made me
makes me
so
feel-
relaxed.
Oh my God, that made me so
That's
relaxed.
his hidden talent.
We
Controlling
got
emotions.
Yes.
Wow, we
He's on
just
a
made a
headspace.
deal, folks.
I'm buying. I don't know what I'm buying, but I'm buying.
That church.
The church. I'm buying a church.
It's a church. It's like a few doors down from my house.
It's a church that they're turning into a house.
Yeah, they're
You can live in
renovating
one
it.
part and rent the other part out.
They're renovating it right now.
That's wild.
It looks pretty intense.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's really cool.
They've got a lot of land too. Kiddos can run around, and then they can come play with my dogs. And
Let them out there in the bed.
yeah,
You just want me to be your neighbor.
yeah, it'd be a good time.
I'm gonna take you to church, Phil.
Don't say that.
Yeah. Walking a thin line.
But you can, your kids can come play with the dogs.
Do you want to come to church, Phil?
No, that's a weird looking church.
Wait a minute. Then that gets a little creepy. I don't know about-
Well, they'll show it to you, and it'll be cool.
Yeah.
And maybe you'll fall in love with
You
it.
make it your own.
Yeah.
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 And you
Yeah, I
can
like
go.
kind of like different stuff.
You can go boss the construction workers around. Tell them you'll buy it if you like what they do.
Yeah.
It's a golden plan.
I don't know if that's the right direction I'm trying to go there, Phil. I want somebody else to do the work.
Well, yeah, that's what they're doing. But like if you were building a house, you would be over there all the time, and you'd be like,
Oh yeah,
I want
for
you
sure.
to do this, this, and this, and that.
You're doing that wrong.
Yeah.
I watched my parents build their house from the ground up, and we would take pictures as we were building, and I would write on the staircase before there was, it was like
make it. Yeah, that's
there's
cool.
memories. Yeah, so I don't know why I said brought that up, but
Memories.
yeah, it's a really cool thing to see a house be built from the ground up like that, and be able to have a lot of influence into how it's built. And I'm definitely really drawn to that, the idea of building my own home so I can have it exactly how I want it.
Yeah.
So it's January 2021. What does your company have on the horizon? Is there anything exciting? Any huge goals for this year? Like what do you guys have in the works right now?
Yeah. So we won personal agent goals. We just had some goal setting meetings, and there's been some pretty substantial goals set by agents in the office.
Mm-hmm.
Some want to double what they did last year, so we are excited about that. Yeah, with Tristan's, I mean, I don't know how much you want to give away. But,
The total transformation.
Okay.
is all I would
Total
say.
He's off to a hot start.
Okay,
Let's
yeah.
just say that.
I would say that he in 60 days is set to do more than he did all of last year. Like he is. I've never.
That's
the way
incredible.
he's come out the door, it's crazy. And so
It's the mindset. It's all the mindset thing, the turnaround, the shift.
it's like, and and I think part of it too. And
Are you trying to be a realtor now?
No,
he would do
You're
great.
like, I was just wondering.
We'll bring you on. Well,
I got my hands full.
We handled that for him.
Yeah.
These are my guys. I work with them.
We talk to a lot of investors and real estate
Mm-hmm.
moguls.
But he picked Tristan.
We're the ones.
He is.
Yeah,
I locked it
this
up.
is my real team.
It is really rare. But no, so we hitting those goals. Working on visibility. I mean, y'all do a killer job here. Your
Yeah.
social media presence,
TikTok,
your-
Facebook,
your-
Instagram.
it's
every day.
It's inspiring.
Yeah.
So it's trying to market and act like act like influencers. Our product is is houses, but act like influencers. Make sure people see what we're doing. There's some pretty lofty goals, but I mean, if every agent had the momentum like Tristan had, I mean,
He's selling me pretty hard right now.
no. But it's true. Have I said anything that's not true?
No.
No,
Yeah.
exactly. So there you go. So the numbers speak for
Can't
themselves.
deny it.
I mean, I think,
Numbers talk.
Ryan and I obviously, we work together.
Who's your number one client?
My number one client? My number one client?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at him.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
There we go.
I'm looking at him. Repeat business speaks
Yes.
for itself.
Yeah.
I
That's
think the obviously you took a chance on me and you didn't have to, and it wasn't easy for either of us, but we turned it around, and I think you put some faith in me, and obviously your recent purchases have shown that. I think it's the beginning of something incredible. I have no idea what the future holds for you and I, what the future holds for myself and Ryan, but I think
That's bright.
it is. I mean, bright is not even the right word to describe the things that him and I have in store.
I love
Personally, and as real estate agents. Obviously, real estate is a hot investment. You talked about Bitcoin and the stock market earlier. Those things are. Bitcoin is extremely volatile right now. Stock market is, coronavirus hit that pretty hard. But real estate, if you stay in a certain bracket, you're bread and butter all day long. You're making your money back.
it. Mm-hmm.
I think it's hard to go wrong in those sort of investments. And being said, what I said earlier, that's where I want to be. We're making the most of the opportunities that we have, and I don't even. I'm optimistic when I think about the future, but sometimes I can't believe the things that are happening in my life that have been given to me because I decided to take a chance on myself and step into the world of real estate.
I love it. Entrepreneurial mindset.
That's awesome.
It's
Just
in the blood.
taking that leap of faith and getting over your fears is
Right.
the first step to doing something that you're passionate about and that you love and that's worthy of your time.
I
So-
remember sitting in my cubicle and people tell me, why are you doing that? Why are you reading that book? Why are you taking your lunch break and reading a book? Why are you going to your car and studying for a test? And it's like, that's, I never look back.
Yeah.
How many houses do you want to sell this year?
My goal is 2 a month in a certain price range.
Mhm.
And I have some investment goals. Obviously, Wesley Knight is helping me achieve my goals as we speak.
Shout out.
That man is his energy, his positivity, his momentum, his outlook. Like, if we had more people like
Infectious.
that,
And that's a behind the smoke screens connection.
right there,
Yes,
absolutely.
You're exactly right.
Yeah.
And he's going to
I love
be, his episode is launching this Friday. So
Friday,
Go on,
so
go
tune
on.
in.
Definitely tuning on
Yeah,
that.
that was
one.
that was a long one. We talked for a couple hours, I think.
Yeah.
If we had more people like that in this world, I think the world would be a better place. Just the way he is, the way he carries himself, the way he treats other human beings. you know,
It is infectious.
I just met you, Wes,
It's-
but you know, you've definitely shaken things up for me, and you know, shout out to Phil for taking a chance and dropping that group chat.
Always.
I just, you know, I started off 2021 with a closing compared to last year. You know, that's more than I could ever ask for.
Yeah. Let's go.
I just cannot believe the things that are happening.
I love it.
Mhm.
Love to hear that. Shana,
What?
so we're all like inspired and stuff.
No, yeah. I mean, just
And
talking to you guys makes
you-
me want to buy 2 houses instead of just one. Like,
Hit us up.
Yes.
But you have exciting news, right? Did we talk about this last episode?
What's my exciting news?
We weren't here last episode, so if you did, we should still hear it.
Your new job.
Okay. So we didn't talk about that yet.
She thought I was
So
going to
that's-
talk about her boyfriend.
I have a boyfriend.
Oh, sorry.
So, yeah. So, running my business as a single mother for the last several years has had its challenges. And of course, with COVID and everything, there were a lot of uncertainties. And I had received an opportunity at the end of last year, a really great opportunity that I am super excited about. And I'm not sure how much I should say on the podcast, but
Well,
it is in a
Speak for you.
so I received an offer in the photo studio at Wrangler, and which is a big company here, Contour Brands, big
Huge.
company here in Greensboro.
Very big. Yeah, huge.
And I'm working in the photo studio there in post production, and I'm still managing my business on the side. So it is a full-time position, and it was an easy decision to make for the stability of my family and being able to provide and have that kind of stability that I need in my life for me and my boys. But I also am continuing to run my business. I'm just taking less jobs. So I've got about 6 or 7 weddings this year that I'm
She
going to be
put me on
shooting.
the back burner.
And guys, this is exciting news, and he's like throwing me under the
No, we're really excited for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an exciting thing. So that's also why I'm in a position where I really am ready for a home buying experience, my first home. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Congrats. Are you enjoying it?
yeah,
Your new job?
I really enjoy it. It's a really great group of people. Contour Brands is a really great company, and they really care about their employees. And that I think you draw in a lot of great employees when you care about people. So yeah, it's a great place to be. So I'm very excited about that, and I'm still taking jobs in my photography business too.
Mhm.
So
I see you doing a little mini shoot for Double Oaks for their Valentine's special.
yes, I'm going to be doing some mini
Ryan,
sales, yeah.
you should look into that.
I may have to.
Mhm.
Yeah. It'd be a nice getaway.
Heard they got good
Yeah.
pizza.
Great pizza. You can get a little photo shoot. The rooms are amazing.
I think they're doing like a 5-course meal for Valentine's Day, and then one of the add-ons.
We're doing a
is
free
photo
ad
shoot.
right now, and it's you don't like
We love
that.
Double Oaks.
But Double Oaks, that's our family.
Yeah.
Great, amazing rooms, amazing bathrooms. They have
Mhm.
That's important.
3rd floor.
It's important.
Bathrooms
People don't
are
realize that it
very
is.
important.
Go to the 3rd floor.
3rd floor. Okay.
There's special
And the
things
food
up
is
there.
amazing, and the chefs there are awesome.
All right. I'll have
Yeah.
to check that out.
Yeah.
Great food and photo shoots.
Photo shoots.
Yeah, and hopefully some folks will add on a photo shoot to their Valentine's packages. So
Phil and I will be
boudoir or
there.
like couples
Or
section
Valentine's
kind of
this
thing.
year.
And if you stay there, you'll get a day pass
It's
to our
photo shoots.
Davidoff Lounge. And,
Okay.
Not a bad
Yeah.
place to be.
Yeah. and Phil's looking for a date. So if there's any lucky ladies out there who want to go to Valentine's at Double Oaks with Phil, he's
3rd floor, Double Oaks.
I knew that was coming.
He'll be
he
there.
needs a date. So
I knew that was coming. So does Tristan.
There we go.
Tristan's birthday is on
It is?
Valentine's Day.
That's
Really?
right. It is
Aw.
Valentine's Day. Yeah.
why don't you guys go together then?
That's what I suggested. That's
Maybe-
usually what happens.
Maybe we
Wait
should
a
have a
minute.
photo shoot.
Oh my
A photo
God.
shoot. That's perfect. Double Oaks. Delicious
A
pizza.
decade of friendship.
That's right.
There you go.
Can we
Anniversary.
bring?
It's
Can
a
we bring
friends
Frankie?
Friendiversary.
Can we bring
No,
Frankie?
no
to the photo
dogs.
shoot?
Come on, that's a sore subject.
No. We'll bring Frankie.
Come on, dogs.
Put it
Yeah.
there.
So I have one last question. So
Okay.
he
One last
said what
question.
his goals are for the year. What about you? What do you have in mind for the year? Or are you?
Just know he's already crushing. That's all you need to know.
Last question.
No. Well, yeah, I have personal sales goals. I want to top above that, but I also want to. My goals are helping each of our individual agents do their goals.
Mhm.
Meeting with each of them, finding out what they're having trouble with, helping to educate them and get them to the point that they're selling and achieving their goals and getting that financial independence and that security you talk about for the family and everything, making sure that they have that.
Mhm.
I want to extend the brand, like I said, be more visible with the agents, have their visibility and the company's visibility feed together.
Mhm.
On a professional level, that's where I am. It's just expanding what they have to work with and making it easier for them to hit their goals.
Beautiful.
Well, it's been so great talking to y'all. Definitely got some great insight and appreciate your advice and wishing y'all the best for the year and to crush
Thank
your
you.
goals for sure.
Mhm.
So
Same for
And
y'all.
I have one last, not question.
Comment.
It's more of like a comment.
Okay.
Fwin over here, our producer, he's amazing at
He's
what he
incredible.
does. He's, flawless at the job. And videography, he'll make commercials for you guys. But they're not like typical commercials. They're like really, really, really cool stuff.
Good. Okay.
And that would really help the brand because, you're trying to expand that.
Yeah.
And he does these packages that you can just post like throughout the year. And
I
it'd
love
be
it.
perfect. So
And we
definitely
do.
hit him up for that.
We will. We had a podcast. We're talking about bringing back from the dead that
Mhm.
I really love doing.
Yeah.
And I never want to put beer in real estate, and so this would
Yeah.
his services would make it much easier to do. So
he's
I
awesome.
love it.
awesome. Well,
Beautiful.
thank y'all for having us. Again.
Thanks for
Yeah,
coming
thanks
on.
for being here.
Definitely.
Yeah, this was great.
Mhm.
We'll have you back again.
Yeah,
Reoccurring guests.
we'd love that.
That's good.
We're gonna have you back at the end of next year and see how you met your goals.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
We're gonna check your numbers.
There we go. We'll bring them.
I can't wait.
Transparency.
Numbers talk.
It's gonna be real
Numbers
behind the
talk,
scenes.
that's
It's gonna
right.
be real honest and down and dirty.
Beautiful. Love you guys.